Oi, oi, right, how's it going? I'm Grant, you're you, and this is the Doodle Review. You're joining us today on a Sunday, which means it's another Sunday Jazz Club, a series that documents my journey into the massive world of jazz. It's a genre I'm not overly informed on, but love a lot. So these videos are intended to give other people who, like me, want to get more into the genre but don't really know where to start a bit of an inspiration. I'm hoping that giving my impressions on albums from an enthusiastic but not expert opinion might be a less intimidating way to discover new music in the genre. And if you're watching this and you are better informed, then just hit us up in the comments with your thoughts either on this record or other suggestions of where we should go from here. That would be really cool. Today we're going to be looking at the expansive record Open Me, A Consciousness of Sound and Spirit by Kahil El-Zabar's Ethnic Heritage Ensemble. First though, a bit of history. So Kahil El-Zabar is a multi-instrumentalist and band leader born in Chicago in the 50s who rose to prominence in the mid-70s when he joined and eventually became chairman of the Association for the Advancement of Creative Musicians. This put him at the forefront of boundary-pushing jazz composition and allowed him to the opportunity to collaborate with both rising stars of the time and legends. So Dizzy Gillespie, Pharoah Sanders and Nina Simone are just some of the names El-Zabar has actually lent his talents to. It was during this time, while leading the AACM in the 70s, that El-Zabar also formed two of his own groups, Ritual Trio and Ethnic Heritage Ensemble, both projects going on to produce many albums over the years since to create a massive body of work. What set apart these projects from many other jazz groups back then and even to this day is their format. El-Zabar is both percussionist and band leader, and that in and of itself is not particularly innovative, but where he sets the tempo and the rhythm mostly with drums that are struck by the hand like djembes, bowl drums, udus, etc., there's immediately a very close connected feeling to the music. And of course, jazz drumming on traditional Western acoustic kits has and will always be incredible, and this form of percussion is not completely ignored by El-Zabar, but there is something somehow more present and more organic about many of the pieces on this latest album, Open Me, coming from this more intimate rhythmic style. In addition, El-Zabar is the vocalist, which can sometimes mean traditional melodic singing with lyrics, but more often leads to a kind of chanting. And again, where this is captured live alongside the rhythms he's playing and as part of his kind of conduction of the wider band, it adds to this really intimate, organic feeling. Combining El-Zabar's pounding of the rhythm through traditional instruments that harken back to the earliest forms of music ever produced with the distinctly 20th century elements of the saxophone and trumpet, that combo of those two things is the final piece of the puzzle and what makes this stand out. These are the things that make El-Zabar's vision so distinctive. A jazz trio playing within the established framework of jazz as we know it from the 50s onwards, but grounded by very instinctual human rhythm and intimacy. The players on this record, the guys sitting in, are as follows. Of course, Kahil El-Zabar on multiple percussion instruments and voice, Corey Wilkes on trumpet and percussion, and Alex Harding on baritone sax. Ethnic Heritage Ensemble has had many members going in and out over the years, always led by El-Zabar, but as of right now, Wilkes and Harding are the collaborators rounding out this trio. Wilkes has played with other greats like Makaya McCraven and Tedeschi Trucks, and is also an actor who's appeared on 6 seasons of the TV show Empire, while Harding, who like El-Zabar is something of an elder statesman in the genre, has played with everyone from Sun Ra All-Stars, Wynton Marsalis and even Aretha Franklin. On a few tracks, the group have also looped in some support from James Sanders on violin and viola, Ismail Ali on cello, and both provide a layer of strings to the textures of certain pieces, and that's something we'll get onto shortly. There is also definitely like double bass contributions, as well as I heard like clarinet and flute at points, but I couldn't find the credits for those players, so I'm assuming those guys did that as well. There are 12 songs here, providing a total of 1 hour 20 minutes of music. Among the tracks are some covers. Pieces by Miles Davis, Gene McDaniels, McCoy Tyner get reinterpretations here, as well as the older than time Whole World in His Hands. We also get, and this is something I wasn't aware was much of a thing until diving into more jazz music, we get lots of reinterpretations of existing Kahil El-Zabar tracks. Hang Tough is a new recording of an EHE original from the 1991 album of the same name. Ornette, of course, a track written in tribute to Ornette Coleman, is a new version of the same track from the album Dance with the Ancestors of 1993. Burundi was originally on 1997's 21st Century Union Mark and 1999's Freedom Jazz Dance. A few of these songs have actually been interpreted multiple times across the Elzbar canon. And finally, Great Black Music, originally appearing on Kareel from 2000. That leaves space for 4 brand new originals to add to the vast library of EHE pieces, which are Open Me, Return of the Lost Tribe, Can You Find a Place, and Kari. Of these originals, the concluding piece, Open Me, is a firm favourite. It sums up what I've discovered and since come to love about Elzbar's compositions. That kind of handmade percussion and those deep vocals just feel so earthy, organic. It really kind of casts a spell on you. The piece has this hypnotic, slow-paced descending melody driven by the baritone sax of Harding and then embellished with plenty of trumpet from Wilkes, plus flute and clarinet, which had something special here that we perhaps could have seen more of on the rest of the album. And I really enjoy the subtlety of the vocal as it aids in this kind of quite poignant feeling of the collective musical experience rather than one that's led by a single player. Like many of the tracks here, Open Me also includes violin and viola contributions from James Sanders, as I mentioned earlier. And this, to be honest with you, is one of very few things on the record I'm unsure about. I've not ever heard much violin in jazz like this, maybe in more orchestral leaning or avant-garde stuff, but not really in music like this, which is, despite Elzbar's unique approach, it's still rooted in horns. And on one hand, I like the string instrument's ability to support that very earthy texture that we have the whole way through, thanks to the percussion. But something about the timbre of the instrument, you know, that specific grit of the strings, that does feel very organic. But on the other hand, it is just a tone that I think kind of jibes against the smooth cool of the horns. When you think about a track like Miles Davis' All Blues or the Elzbar piece Hang Tough, when I listen to other versions without the string contribution, they just feel so much cooler. The horn solos we get on a version of Hang Tough from Kareel, for instance, just feel a lot more fitting. Here the violin just takes it to a bit of an unlikely barn dance or folk jig vibe, and I'm not really feeling that. With that being said, there are some songs where I think it works. Can You Find a Place has this mournful funeral procession vibe with these big ominous marimba sounds, and the violin here just kind of feels like the perfect addition to that. So yeah, it's kind of a personal preference thing for me. I can see how the strings on one hand aid the overall sound of the record and sometimes compositionally add another interesting layer, but at other points it feels like a bit of a square peg into a round hole. The record's a bit of a marathon and can feel quite overwhelming at points, but despite the string additions that occasionally take me out, Open Me, A Consciousness of Spirit and Sound is a pretty transportive experience, and it's been fascinating to be introduced into the world of Kahil Elzbar and his unique approach to the jazz ensemble. I'm going to hit this with a 7.2 and knock it on the head, but that's just what I think. No? What are you lot saying? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you have heard this album, check out other Sunday Jazz Club reviews linked in the description, and if you can be asked to do all of that, well then, you know, you may as well subscribe, stick around, share some thoughts, show some love, or just tell some abuse in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers mate, bye.